It is 23 hours 30 Universal Time. I'm Steve Ember in Washington. Syria has threatened to close its border with Lebanon if the United States deploys peacekeepers to the area. Finland's foreign minister says Syrian Foreign Minister Walid Moallem made the statement in a meeting on Wednesday. An American spokeswoman says the United States is not taking Syria's threat seriously. Dana Perino says Syria is not included in talks on deploying UN troops in Lebanon. She also said if the Syrian president was not supporting Hezbollah, there would be no problem. The UN Security Council has approved an increase in peacekeeping forces in Lebanon by 15,000 troops. A group called the Holy Jihad Brigades has claimed responsibility for kidnapping 2 employees of the American company Fox News. The group is demanding that the United States release Muslim prisoners. It said the United States has 72 hours to act on its demands. The group did not say what it would do if the United States refuses to free the prisoners. The group also released videotape images of the 2 hostages, American Steve Santani and Olaf Vig of New Zealand. The men were seized in the Gaza Strip on August 14th. In Washington, an American spokesman said the United States does not compromise with terrorists. He said the hostages should be immediately released without conditions. Afghan officials say at least 29 Taliban rebels have been killed in clashes with Afghan and NATO forces in southern Afghanistan. Officials said 18 Taliban rebels and 1 Afghan soldier were killed when Taliban fighters attacked an army position in Zabul province. Late Tuesday, North Atlantic Treaty Organization forces in Kandahar province killed 11 Taliban militants. NATO officials say the militants were planning an attack. Also, a Canadian soldier has died from wounds suffered in a bomb attack on Tuesday in Kandahar city. 3 other NATO soldiers were wounded. The United States is calling on Bangladesh to help improve the living conditions of Muslim Rohingya refugees from Burma. An American official for refugee issues, Ellen Sauerbrey, spoke during talks with the Bangladeshi Minister for Food and Disaster Management, Chaudhry Kamal Ibn Yusuf. They met in Dhaka on Wednesday. Mr. Yusuf reportedly said he would like the United States and the United Nations to move the Burmese refugees to a third country. More than 250,000 minority Rohingyas fled from Burma to Bangladesh in the early 1990s. All except 21,000 were sent back to Burma. Bangladesh says they are illegal immigrants, not refugees. The Foreign Minister of Indonesia has called on Burma to provide more information on its democratic reforms to members of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations. Foreign Minister Hassan Wirayuda spoke to reporters Wednesday. He said Burma's failure to provide information has made it difficult for ASEAN members to defend Burma internationally. Mr. Wirayuda said ASEAN members believe that leaders of Burma's military government feel unsure about how they would fit into a democratic nation. Burma says it is carrying out democratic reforms. The United States and several other countries have urged Burma to speed up its progress. You are listening to the news in VOA Special English. The United States says Iran's answer to an international plan aimed at restricting Iran's nuclear program fails to meet conditions set by the United Nations. An American State Department spokesman says the UN Security Council is discussing what to do next. He said the Council resolution requires Iran to stop processing uranium by August 31st. The 5 permanent Council members and Germany have offered to help Iran if it suspends the program. On Tuesday, Iran said it was ready for serious talks on its nuclear program. But Iran did not say if it would stop uranium enrichment by August 31st. More Kurdish survivors of Iraqi poison gas attacks spoke Wednesday at the trial of former Iraqi President Saddam Hussein. Some survivors spoke of losing all their family in the poison gas attacks. Saddam Hussein and 6 others are accused of trying to kill as many ethnic Kurds as possible in the military campaign of 1987 and 1988. Iraqi government lawyers say about 180,000 people died. Lawyers for the former leaders say the operation was against Kurdish separatists who allied with Iran in its war against Iraq. The trial has been suspended until September 11th. Dutch police have arrested 12 passengers from an American airplane that was flying to India. The Dutch officials say the Northwest Airlines plane returned to the Netherlands after several passengers were seen acting unusually. Reports from other passengers say the suspects were passing mobile telephones to one another and making calls as the plane left the ground. Dutch military planes traveled with the plane as it flew back to Amsterdam. And the head of the United Nations operation in Ivory Coast says the country will not be ready for presidential elections by October 31st. UN official Pierre Scory said voter identification and the preparation of voter lists would not be completed. The UN is helping Ivory Coast in its peace process. The UN Security Council set October 31st as the date by which an election is to be held. The Council acted after extending the term of Ivorian President Laurent Gbagbo last year. And now, briefly, here again is the major news of the hour in Special English. The Lebanese Prime Minister has urged the United States to pressure Israel to end its blockade of Lebanon. Afghan officials say at least 29 Taliban rebels have been killed in fighting with Afghan and NATO forces in Afghanistan. And the United States is calling on Bangladesh to help improve the living conditions of Muslim Rohingya refugees from Burma. That's the news in VOA Special English. Steve Ember reporting.